Good morning, Guardians. This week we have seen the dawning hit, and with it a whole range of updates, changes, patches, fixes, you name it. And the patch notes are up online, so I wanted to go through them with you because there's some seriously interesting stuff and some big changes that have been made hidden in this update 2.5.0, the one about the dawning. So let's have a quick look here. So in general, we've got new quests available from Eva Levante, Amanda Holiday, and Commander Zavala. We know that most of those are in relation to the dawning event. Commander Zavala obviously has some stuff that will be ongoing as well. We've got a new record book, which we know about. I've got a video about that already online. I've got a link to that in the description below. There's a fix for issues where people weren't receiving the Student of History achievement or the Sigil of the Young Wolf emblem. Now, I have not seen that actually fix itself because I'm one of those people in that situation and I still don't have that achievement, so something's not right. And there's a fix with an issue where players have been unable to complete the Echoes of the Past quest. Now, new activities. Sparrow Racing has returned. We've got 2 race tracks that have been added, which we know about, Shining Sands and Hawkoon Precipice on the Plaguelands. The SRL license quest has been completely reset. The circuit racing gear is now available from the quest, obviously, but it also has light, and it's available from the holiday kiosk. SRL reputation has been reset to 0. The SRL racing suits now have light, which we've already said. SRL can be launched from the weekly featured playlist, just down here on the bottom left-hand corner of the director, the destination director. We've got Crucible Bounties and Jolly Holiday Quest. They are not able to be completed in Sparrow Racing, so you won't get any progress towards any quests or bounties in there unless they are specifically SRL quests or bounties. The Strikes in the Siva Crisis playlist, Heroic playlist, and the Weekly Nightfall now give you scoring and medals, and you can acquire those bounties from Zavala. So before you go do any of that stuff, any of those activities, make sure you go see Zavala, pick up the quest, grab the bounties, and then hit that up and you'll be fine there. Dead Guardians are now automatically respawned at the end of strikes instead of having to wait for teammates or randoms to pick you up so you can actually get the chest. Enemies that weren't coming out of the doors, supposedly this has now been fixed. Now, you may have experienced, especially last week, for example, the Thrall just not coming out and taking forever to come out, so that section at the very beginning takes an extremely long period of time because the Thrall don't come out. Well, that's supposed to have been fixed. Burn effects have now been reduced on Guardians, but the burn effect that you apply on enemies has not. And the Fallen Saber supposedly doesn't teleport anymore after he comes up out of the floor. We'll see if that's true. They've fixed an issue where the Strike Streak wasn't applying in the Siva Crisis Heroic playlist correctly. There's another fix where the Horde chest on the Echo Chamber, which is only applicable for PlayStation, could become stuck behind an invisible barrier. So there's a few other things. There's a new increased time for presenting Archon's Forge offerings to begin. So in between encounters, the 5-second timer is now 10 seconds between encounters. The Iron Lord bounties that you need to complete in Archon's Forge, they are now going to have a much bigger influence on the types of Siva offerings that you get from drops. So if you've got a Captain bounty that you just can't complete because you just keep getting Dreg offerings, well, that shouldn't happen anymore. You should be getting more of those offerings that relate to the bounties that you're actually carrying. And reduced shields for the perfected Shanks. I don't think that was necessary, but obviously it's for the lower level player. Collections. We've got new collections because we've got the Circuit gear, the Momentum SRL gear, we've got the Holiday Kiosk, which was introduced in the Festival of the Lost. Now that also includes the SRL stuff that you can pick up now. Anything that you've had. The Ghost, the Deviled Ghost, they've also been added to the Holiday Collection from that kiosk. Class items and All of the racing gear now have light and perks attached to it, so all the legendary stuff, and if you want to buy it from the kiosk, they will cost you legendary marks. And of course, there are 2 new emotes. There's the Proposal and there's Whoa There, and you can just go pick those up for free from the emote collection or the emote kiosk down in the bar or the disco room, the jukebox room, whatever you want to call it, at the bottom of the tower hangar. Xur now sells exotic shards once again. He won't sell exotic weapon ornaments because we have a kiosk for that now. We've got a Silver Dust kiosk. The Silver Dust kiosk now does all of that for you. Xur won't be offering them anymore. But the heavy ammo stacks, he used to sell stacks of 3, now he sells stacks of 10. That's a huge difference, especially if it's still for only 1 strange coin. I suspect it's more likely going to be 3 strange coins, but if that's the case, that's still an improvement because it was 1 strange coin for 3 heavy ammo. If it's 3 strange coins for 10 heavy ammo, that is an improvement even so. Of course, it's not Friday, so we can't test that theory. Eververse has received new items. The Treasures of the Dawning are available from Eververse now, and they include sparrows, ornaments, horns, armor, consumables. There's a lot in the Treasures of the Dawning. There's a huge array of offerings and gifts available in there. Players can receive 1 free Treasure of the Dawning each week by completing their first weekly Heroic Strike. So Radiant Treasures used to be the Heroic Strike reward, but now that is Treasures of the Dawning. The Radiant Treasures are now available from the first weekly PvP activity of the week. Completed. Doesn't need to be 1, just needs to be completed. So the Radiant Treasures have now moved to PvP. Treasures of the Dawning are now available in Heroic Strikes. And when you complete the Dawning set from the Treasures of the Dawning on a particular class, 1 class, you'll be rewarded with the EV53 Glimmer Gold Sparrow and the Sunglow Shader. There are 9 new winter emotes available, all from Eververse. And then of course we've got the Silver Dust store, which I spoke about before, which is available between Tess Everest and the Postmaster, where the bot was that was sweeping without his broom for Festival of the Lost. That is where you'll find the new kiosk. That has all of the Silver Dust items, all the exotic weapon ornaments, and so on and so forth. You can get all of that stuff from the new Silver Dust kiosk. Applying ornaments no longer costs you Silver Dust, and when you open a Radiant Treasure, you will no longer be granted Silver Dust. You have to get them from dismantling exotic weapon ornaments. All characters who are level 40, if you pick up a green engram, you will now be rewarded with armor materials or weapon parts. You no longer have to dismantle them, they automatically convert on pickup. There are new bounties available from Petra, and that is to assist you in ranking up your Queen's Wrath reputation so that you can get other gear from her as well. Class items from her will also now correctly display their stats, where there was a glitch, it didn't do that properly before. Year 3 faction class items weren't able to go toward the exotic class item for the factions. That has now been fixed. You used to have to wear a Spectre item. For some reason there was a glitch after Rise of Iron released. Now that has been corrected in this update. On top of that, you can now purchase Wormspore from the Vanguard Quartermaster, so he now offers Spin Metal, Relic Iron, Helium Filaments, Spirit Bloom, and now Wormspore. So that's been something that's been requested a lot. We thought that it would likely come from Eris. It's now coming from the Vanguard Quartermaster, so that's great. That's another planetary material, even though the Dreadnought isn't technically a planet. It is another location. Now, Brother Vance also offers material exchange. You can now buy passage coins from Brother Vance for Motes of Light, so if you're a Trials player, that's for you. Skeleton keys have been adjusted. The drop rates have been increased in the Heroic playlist and in the standard Siva Crisis playlist, and you are guaranteed from your first Nightfall completion of the week on your account, not per character, but per account, you are guaranteed a skeleton key for that first completion. Subclass quest items like the Gunslinger's Cloak or the Night Stalker's Cloak, for example, you can now buy those from the speaker. So if you dismantled them once upon a time, you can now re-buy them from the speaker. And of course, the legendary gear from the Gunsmith, so Steel Piercer, Mobius, and the Susanoo, you can buy those from the Gunsmith now as well. Crucible maps, there was a fix where players were able to get stuck in the Burning Shrine. Well, that has now been fixed. You can now wave off heavy in actual Crucible games, not just in private matches, if everyone waves in the first 30 seconds of a round. There's also been a fix where the end of round countdown might have played twice, where a round was tied in elimination. Well, that has been fixed. Now that won't happen anymore. Private matches, you can now play Inferno Rift and Inferno Zone Control. I don't know why you'd want to, but if you do, then you can do that in private matches now. Supremacy used to have a win score of 150, that's been reduced to 120. Rumble Supremacy is now 40, and the Mercy spread in Supremacy has been reduced from 30 to 90 down to 20 to 60. So instead of having a 60-point spread from 30 hitting 90, now it's only a 40-point spread, and it activates from 20 to 60. There's also been a slight reduction of the amount of super energy that you will gain in Supremacy modes. Icarus has been taken out of the Rift playlist, and the Supremacy mode variants that weren't actually contributing to the Rise of Iron record book, that's now been fixed as well. So it doesn't matter what type of Supremacy mode you play, that will now count towards the Rise of Iron record book if you haven't completed that yet. Iron Banner bounties such as Iron Marathon and Iron Support have been adjusted. Iron Marathon was incorrectly awarding 15 points for a win, 5 points for completing the game, and 10 points for the win. Now it only rewards the 10 points for the win. The Iron Support bounty no longer credits you with assists from nearby players, so you would have found that you could have completed the Iron Support bounty in one match because it was picking up the assists from all the players around you rather than just the assists that you were getting yourself. That is now the case. It's now just you, not everyone around you. For some reason, the highest score Crucible bounty wasn't working in Supremacy. That's now been fixed, so you can actually earn that bounty in Supremacy. And Shax no longer requires anyone to complete the mountaintop before you can get his weekly Crucible bounty. So if you're struggling to get to 400, that's a great way to do it. It only gives you one item each week, but it's something that's reasonably easy to finish. And if you don't have the mountaintop, you weren't able to get it, now you can. That's been unlocked for everybody. Other changes in rewards, the Trials of Osiris vanity items have increased the drop rates. The shader, the Devoted, for some reason wasn't able to be earned, but now it's been fixed. The drop rate for Iron Banner vanity items and the artifacts in Iron Banner, that's been increased. When you complete the daily featured Crucible activity, you'll now be granted 3 passage coins. And when you complete the weekly Crucible activity, you can get 3 passage coins up to 3 times per week. So if you wanted to do that once on each character, or play it 3 times on one character, you can get up to 9 passage coins for completing the weekly featured Crucible activity. The Sparrow S39 Light Rider was not available through Crucible rep packages. That is available, and I can guarantee it. I earned it last night when I handed in my first Crucible rep package for the week. Vanity items and ghost shells have been added to the post-game Carnage Report Crucible drops. Things like the Crimson Shell and the Sugary Shell from Crimson Days, the Crimson Crest and the Rose Bright Valentine shaders. They're all Crimson Days rewards, which tells me that we might not be seeing Crimson Days in about 6 or 8 weeks' time. That's a bit sad for me, but I love the fact that we can now get the Crimson Shell. I was wanting that shell, and I got it in one of my SRL games yesterday. And some of the Year 2 Crucible legendary weapons have now been added back to the core drops for Crucible. Things like Red Spectre, I've seen a few of those drop in SRL. The NL Shadow, haven't seen any yet. Ash Factory, I've seen a couple of those. AS Luna, I've seen a couple of those. And I got a Party Crasher as well. So I can tell you for a fact that they have all been included in the drops, and we're seeing them quite regularly. There have also been some changes to the Grimoire. So the Ephrodite Grimoire card is now available. If you've even logged into your account and you've seen Ephrodite, the cinematic for Iron Banner at all, you will have noticed that it flashed up at the bottom of your screen when you logged in and hit Orbit. The Beauty and Destruction Grimoire card for some reason wasn't being rewarded on completion. That's now being added as well. One of the Kvostov manual pages wasn't being rewarded for the Grimoire. For some strange reason, that has also been added. So you'll see yourself hit, if you've got these items, a string of Grimoire cards just by logging into Destiny, and when you hit Orbit, you'll see them pop up on the bottom of the screen. The Year 1 Thorn and the Year 1 Gjallarhorn cards, they weren't being issued for people who got the Year 3 version, and that was their first Gjallarhorn or first Thorn. Some of the Grimoire for the Dormant Siva clusters wasn't being rewarded. Well, that is now being rewarded as well. It's also being rewarded once across your entire account, instead of being rewarded per character. If you have those issues, you will now see the Grimoire scroll across the screen as you enter Orbit for the first time in update 2.5.0. And for some reason, there was an issue with Grimoire cards not being granted for players spawning into Crucible maps in private matches. Well, that has also been adjusted, and again, when you hit Orbit, you will get that on the bottom of your screen. That is the patch notes for the week. As you can see there, we've come to the end of the patch notes. There is a lot in that. I hope you got something out of this, Guardians. If you've got any questions or you'd like more information on any of that, I'm happy to provide as much as I can. I'm across all of these things. I've explained it to a lot of guys in-game. If you've got questions, whack it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. A like rating would be appreciated. Please subscribe to the channel. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram, BoylerRoom81. From time to time, I'm also on Twitch. Thanks for watching, Guardians. I'll see you next time.